It's clear there is a wide variety of skills and interests. It's very, very interesting to have you all here. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you again.
Thank you for having us.
Take care.
And flyers on the back.
So what we'll do is discuss questions from a selection of topics that, again, are contained in your handout. We'll begin with the section on climate change, global warming, and what I will do is simply pose some of these questions to the members of the panel. And so what I think I'll do is begin, we won't go in order necessarily, but let me begin with Janneke. Can you tell us what the City Council can do to encourage and support emissions reductions by both the residents and the businesses in Cambridge?
Thank you. Again, I'm Janneke, and certainly I'd like to champion the Community Compact for a Sustainable Future that Mayor Davis and our current council has developed, but we need to expand it beyond just Harvard and MIT, but include all the businesses. And this could be shared goals and targets for greener transportation, more energy efficient buildings, and energy reductions as well. So just expanding that beyond what's already available.
Again, my name is Mushtaque.
We're going to try to avoid having you repeat answering the same question. I'm going to ask you another different question. Thank you. Yes, just as a matter of policy, rather than have each candidate answer the same question, which can get dry after a while, we'll try and bounce around a little bit. And as it happens, I decided to ask Mr. Mirza another question, the second question, which I think may be relevant to his experience. What additional measures can the city take over the next 2 years to increase our resilience and prepare for climate-driven emergencies and disasters? Can you tell us about that in a minute?
Well, 2 days ago, we had an anniversary of the Sandy. And you know what devastation that happens to the country? And that something may happen, it's going to happen. And one of the things which can do is to have a set up an emergency fund to take care of that. 1 minute is a too short period of time for me to tell, because I am coming for a country where I've done all those things, what emergency situations are and how to take care of it, how the cyclones are affecting the poor people. So this first is the emergency funding should be there to take care of the people. And second, the emergency, because we have a FEMA, which is of course there, but the city also have some preparedness for that. So that is the most important thing which we need to do as a city councillor. That's something which I would like to do. And second thing is that whatever we means available to make sure what barriers which we can do that cannot affect the city of Cambridge in case of the hurricanes or something. And so it is kind of a very technical, many things, how you can pick the barriers and everything, which is more engineering. I don't have much time to tell you, but thank you so much.
Now I'm going to mix things up a little bit and ask Mr. Williamson the next question. So forgive me, I don't want to go straight in order. Mr. Williamson, can you tell me how you will engage with underserved communities to make sure they are active participants in the conversation on climate change? Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad I got this question because I already just touched on it earlier. Living in public housing, I was for a short time president of the tenant council. I was involved in a citywide tenant organization there were difficulties. It wasn't easy to work together, but I think there's some interesting opportunities that are still available there. I think the problem we have is one of a housing. In my experience, the housing authority tend to operate in a very top-down way. They sort of announce things, initiatives, and kind of it's experienced as they're going to do what they're going to do, and we don't have a say, we don't have a voice. And actually, by federal law and other things, we're actually supposed to have a voice. And there's a lot of sort of rhetoric about public participation. But having lived in public housing in Cambridge now for 6 years, that's not how it is. And so I think this is an important question, getting back to what I said about, for example, plug loads. In the building that I actually live in, Jefferson Park, they were going to put solar panels up on the roof. That deal fell through for reasons of the financial system that we live in here. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. So the next question I'd like to direct to Mr. Moree. And can you tell us, where do you think that climate change ranks on the priorities of the city of Cambridge, and why? I mean, how important a deal is it, and how much attention will you address it with?
In the city of Cambridge, it's probably right up on the top, since this is the environmental world. Probably, it ranks probably right on the top, actually. This is once again, this is the, not the Bay State, this is the brain state. We have to come up with these ideas and sell the ideas across the country. And I've been all over the place with Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey talking about this issue. I heard what they talked about, so I know it's right on top. Once again, we're on the cutting edge. This is Cambridge, Massachusetts, grassroots capital of the world, and we have many groups out there working on this. And we would adopt their ideas, and we would tell the rest of the country about those ideas. So you asked me the question, where does it rank? Right up on the top. Thank you very much. I'm Gregg Moree.
And see if this works. Hang on. Can you hear me? So let me ask Ms. vanBeuzekom.
You.
Okay, I'll get it next time. Can you tell me, what is a single thing that could be done in the city of Cambridge that would have a regional or even national impact that could be accomplished here in the city?
Cambridge is in such a unique place, not only because we have so many resources, financial resources, but because we are a city that has an incredible amount of intellectual capital in the technologies that are being built and discussed and pushed in MIT and at Harvard. So that being said, Cambridge is in the position of failing. And by that I mean we can try things out and then publish what we do and share that information so municipalities aren't repeating our failures. I hope I made that point clear. I can give you a concrete example of a ground source pump, heat pump that we put into the City Hall Annex, and it failed. And we should say it failed, here's why, here's what we're going to do about it, and we should publish that information widely so other municipalities don't make that same mistake. It was a mistake because we didn't know. Now we do know, and I think we have an obligation to share. That's, I think, a big thing that we can do. And as Mayor Davis said, we are looked to for presenting solutions. So.
You guys are all grown up here, so you can manage that mic over there, okay? And I'll hold on to this one. So that will close the discussion on the climate aspect of our evening. And there are other, as I said before, there's several other topics we want to get through. A second one is about urban open spaces and pollution of those spaces. And there are a lot of beautiful parks and things here in Cambridge that are worthy of discussion. So let me pose some of these questions. What I will do is, from this time, I'll go with Mr. Williamson first. Can you tell me what other sorts of projects do you think are possible at the Alewife Reservation that's being improved now that could be done to further the objective of having that turned back into a beautiful urban wild space?
I'm afraid you're playing stump the panel. I don't really have a good answer to that, even though I actually live in that area. I don't get out to the reservation very often. I did go on a tour once and took a look at the silver maple forest, so I'm somewhat familiar with it. But I'll say I really don't have a good answer to specifically that, but what I'll say is how I think Alewife can be improved.
Okay.
I walk every day to the head house of the MBTA, and I walk down a pathway that's supposedly a shared pathway, but is treated by many of the people in our fair city who ride bicycles as their private bicycle raceway. And I think we're not doing enough, and I think this is an environmental issue. to make our sidewalks, our crosswalks, our shared paths safe for pedestrians, especially seniors and vulnerable people, and we're all vulnerable. So I would work to make that pathway safe, and I would also work with, and it's just now finally beginning to be taken a look at. By the way, there's a toxic former swimming hole right there called Jerry's Pit that's been closed for years because of the pollution, and people walk in there to do their cleaning once a year in hazmat suits. So that walkway has water that goes across it, and it's a mud pit that people have to struggle to get across whenever there's any significant precipitation, and we need to do something about that. And so I think there are lots of things, but specifically the Alewife Reservation, not one of my greatest strengths.
So that's fine. Is there anyone else on the panel that would like to grab that jump ball, so to speak? Like,
I would.
please.
Because Alewife Park Bookway out there is like a beautiful place for the habitats, the birds.
Okay.
There's all types of species out there that we have to look at, and I'd rather just leave it alone. Just let it sit there, no development. That's what I'm trying to get to. And let walkways, bike paths, dog parks, forget the development, and we just leave them alone out there.
Okay, okay. Okay, yeah, absolutely. If you, please go, oh, are you done?
Yes.
Yes, and please,
Okay.
Ms. vanBeuzekom.
You got it, right? After how many minutes? I mean, as opposed to months that other people haven't gotten it. So the Alewife Reservation, if people haven't been there, is a stunning example of an urban wild, and I just stress that everyone should go and take a look, immerse themselves in the whole Alewife Reservation, which includes DCR land as well as land that's privately owned. And I think there are many projects that we can do to both increase or preserve the habitat that the DCR owns, as well as convince the private developers that they should not develop, that this is land that should be incorporated in the entire entire Alewife region. And it's Cambridge, Arlington, and Belmont, so it's not just in Cambridge. But I strongly urge everyone to just take the red line down to Alewife and wander around in this beautiful urban wild.
Thank you.
But be careful when you walk on that path.
Let me ask Ms. House. There's a lot of development activity in the floodplain that surrounds the Alewife Reservation. Do you support the current level of development in the floodplain, or would you try to reduce it if you were council?
Well, the current building, again, I'm Janneke, and we were, several of the candidates were invited by the Friends of Alewife to wander over there and take a look, and it was by far the best event that I've had this season. But so the development that's happening around that area is legal. It follows our zoning code, and so if they're building in that area that's not, if that's against the law, then I would propose that we change it. But what's happening right now is legal, and so I'd say we need to take a look at the zoning law and make sure that we change that.
And finally, Mr. Mirza, the Mystic River has not had the comeback that the Charles River has had. Can you comment about what you would do as a councillor to address that?
Yes, because I think what it is actually, many a time we think about the CSO, combined sewer overflows. That is very different, because the way you can do it, because let's say it is there. I'm an engineer. What I would do, I would first go for the smoke test. When you do some smoke test on some of the CSOs, we'll find out from where the leaks are coming in, where the illegal connections are. Second thing, what I would like to do is to do a dye test. What you do, you throw a dye into the regular sewer line, and then if you can see from where it is leaking, if it is leaking into the drain line, then you can say that is an illegal connection. All these illegal connections are happening, and something, because this is my territory, infiltration and inflow. So this is something what we did in Newton. We had the same problem. We took care of it because Newton had a drain line underneath and sewer line on the top of that, and they had a common manholes. So the sewer lines were leaking, going down to the drain line was going to the Charles River, and they were leaking. So what we did, we sealed off the drain line completely. so that and then we put down the separate drain line, so the sewer and drain line cannot be connected. This is a very technical thing, and I have my expertise in doing this, how to do that, and so I didn't have enough time, but if I get a contract, I can do it.
I'm sorry, I keep mispronouncing your name. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is switch topics again to the third topic in the list, which is essentially about the built environment, about housing and things like that. So let's, I suppose many of our panelists may have an opinion about this next question, but let's begin with Ms. vanBeuzekom. Can you tell us about what your opinion of the Net Zero Task Force mission is, and should it be pursued?
The Net Zero Task Force was formed as a response to a citizen petition that asked the city to require that all buildings over 250,000 square feet meet a net zero carbon emissions standard. And that petition, while it hasn't expired yet, is clearly not going to get voted positively by the council. So one of the substitutes for it is a one-year task force that will look at this issue and come up with, after the 1 year, real specific changes that need to be made to the zoning and to any ordinance that we have, so that we can have every large building, and perhaps even every small building that's built, meet a net carbon emission standard. So I am okay with the fact that we have this task force. I would require that the members of the task force have as technical as expertise as possible. This is not a task force to find out why we should do this. This is a task force to find out how, the nuts and bolts of how. And I hope that the deadline of December does not slip. This is a critical thing to get done.
Thank you. I would just, again, in terms of fairness, if any of the candidates feel they're being ignored, give me a high sign, all right, to make sure that you all get a fair number of questions, okay? Let me ask Mr. Moree, do you think that Cambridge should hire an energy efficiency expert?
Yes.
Good, okay?
Wait, I gotta put more into it though. Yes, because once again, this is Cambridge, Massachusetts, and we're like the leaders of the world out here. So we have to lead the citizens, we have to come up with great ideas, net zero buildings, absolutely, and add three bedroom units. Everybody's been talking about housing, so let's add 3-bedroom units. Let's add youth apprenticeship programs, so youngsters can go and get jobs here in these big buildings. Instead of, like over in North Point, instead of going 20 stories high, let's go 25 stories high. And make the other 5 stories affordable housing, 3-bedroom units, net zero, emissions free, and hire our youngsters and put them to work. And really hold them accountable for this. Like go to the job site, have like weekly or every 2 weeks, go out there and check on if they're really doing this. They have to be feedback to the city councilors. This is a serious issue. Housing, jobs, net zero, and the answer is yes on hiring the person that you're recommending.
Efficiency expert.
And my name is Gregg Moree once again. Thank you.
It was very well timed. I'd like to ask Janneke House, and again, I apologize for mispronouncing your name repeatedly now. My question is, what role should the City Council play in promoting energy efficiency in residences, especially among renters and low-income people?
Great, yeah, that's a great question. So Boulder did this several years ago, where they created kind of this one-stop shop where the city provided residents from everything from the initial visit for the inspection and installation of low-cost energy measures to education for landlords and tenants on behavioral changes, as well as financing options for more costly retrofits. And that's certainly something that the City of Cambridge could do.
Let me ask of Mr. Mirza, would you support requiring photovoltaics, requiring solar PV on any and all new buildings that require a special permit to be built?
Can you please repeat?
Repeat the question?
Yeah.
Would you support requiring solar PV on all new buildings requiring a special permit? So I suppose this is out of the zoning board of appeals stuff.
Yeah, there are so many things which has been happening, and first of all, I believe that this is something which we cannot go for any small building. It has to be the large building, and if we have a large building, yes, we should do that, special permit to do that. And the thing is, that this is what my question is. Yes, we can do that in a large building, and we should do that, because we have to promote, as I said, alternate energy, which is very important.
Thank you very much. You hold on to that. Well, we're going to have to close. We're going to have to close this panel down, but I did want to put out one last question to anyone on the panel who wanted to address it, basically about community aggregation of power. I know you mentioned it before. Would you like to take a minute and speak on that, and then anyone else can also have a say about that if they'd like. Community aggregation of power, and I think we'll have an explanation here in a second.
Yeah, what did you
Okay. Now, unfortunately, I'm the chair of the Environment Committee, so I had a whole 2 hours to talk about it, so I'm not sure what I can do, except you should read the minutes of that meeting. It's a way to combine the purchasing power of all of our small little residential and small business customers, combine them together under the city's umbrella and buy electricity. And we could buy 100% renewable and have that be the only electricity that comes into the city. I doubt we would be able to get a price for 100% renewable, but we can change the 8% that NSTAR currently sells to us, we can change that, let's say, to 50%. And because of the combined purchasing power of all of the customers, we could probably get the same price for 50% renewable as we're getting now for 8% as individual customers.
Wonderful. I'd like to thank our panel. I hope they all feel they had a chance to speak. And during our transition,
Can I just say?
Surely, yes, please.
Since you're cutting us a little short, I mean, we did get a late start, but one of the things I really wanted to hope to have a chance to talk about, and I won't go into much detail, is public transportation and transportation in general in Cambridge. And I'll just single out one thing, which is the Harvard Longwood Medical Area shuttles, the M2 shuttles that you see all the time, but you're not allowed to get on them. Why can't we board those buses? You can actually go to a place at Harvard and buy a ticket in advance. But what you should be able to do, and it's not that difficult to do, is be able to board the bus just like you do the number 1 bus and pay when you board. And that would help. That would open up what seems like this exclusive Harvard bus service to all the rest of us who need to get around. And there are many other things that we could be doing to improve public transportation, which is crucially important. It's not that we're environmentalists and other people aren't. I think we all should understand ourselves as environmentalists. We're living in a community and we can make it work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, I want to thank our panel, and please feel free to come up and ask questions if we didn't cover a topic here you are particularly interested in. Thank you.
We'll be starting the second panel in 10 minutes.